I've been watching this Nolan Wells tragedy since the beginning, after July 4th, and when it was announced that week when they found the body. This is something that's been happening with these people, like in Mississippi, where people come up missing or somebody's found hanging, and usually just brushed under the rug. But just because of black social media, you see a lot of it's kind of hanging around a little more than usual, because the mainstream media doesn't really give a damn about what happens to black people as far as justice. I mean, you can have something happen to a little girl, a little white girl, and you got Amber Alerts around the country, and you got different things going on. But these questions are simple questions. There's some question I haven't heard yet. The most simplest question of all, and I haven't heard it from nobody, anyone. And this is the question because they gave the answer, or they gave their answer. Now, the simple thing is, it's Horn Island. It's an island, surrounded by water. Nolan Wells' father says he doesn't own a boat. He doesn't know anybody with a boat. So the only reason why Nolan would be able to get to Horn Island because he had a friend with a boat, or knew someone with a boat. Now, how many more people does he know with a boat that his father doesn't know with boats? And they grew up, and he probably grew up there too. So the question would be, if you're saying that he went to an island with a group of guys with some stuff, because usually when you go to a place like that, or an island or a beach, you're going to take food with you, something because you can stay for a little while, you want something to munch on, you get in the water, build up an appetite, type of things like that. And, the fact that his phone, you take your phone, you want to take pictures, you meet a girl or whatever, you want to have your phone so you can take a number down to call her later on. Never was trying to retrieve his phone to just, meet up with this girl. Like you said, this girl, not the girl's name, which they would probably know the girl's name before he knew the girl's name, because he was dealing with, a bunch of white guys. They're going to know more white people than he's going to know white people. So the question would be, if you're saying he decided to stay, he came with you on the boat, who was he supposed to ride back with? Who was he going to ride back with that you felt comfortable enough to leave him there and not say, well, hey man, come on, we rode here with us, we're going back, we're going to go back to Jimmy's house, we're going to down some more beers, we're going to get some more pizza or whatever, we're going to do something because it's still early, so come on. And they all know I'm going to hang out here with this girl I just met. And then how are you going to get back? First thing you would say, well, who are you going to ride back with? I'm going to ride back with, is it okay? Did he say it was okay? So the first thing you would say is who he said he was going to take the boat ride back with, since he can't swim back. Who was he going to stay with comfortable enough for all you to leave and say, hey man, we all been drinking, whatever, let's go back, man. We don't want to hang around. You don't want to hang around here. I don't want you to get in no trouble, nothing like that. So who's the boat that he was supposed to ride back with? And how come none of them have come forward and said, well, he came to us about riding back with us, and then he didn't come, so I thought it maybe he rode with somebody else. Nobody says that. Nobody's saying he came to us and asked us about riding back with us. They're not even saying, oh, who do you think he rode back with if he didn't go back with you? Did he tell you who he was going to go back with? Or who do you have an idea? Because the first thing a friend would say, if it was a real best friend, good friend, you would say, man, I wish I would have talked him into just come on, go with us. We shouldn't have left him behind. We should have made sure he came with us because we all went there together. I feel bad. Now I want to find out who he was supposed to go back with. First thing I would be look like, who was he going to ride back with? Go to them. Hey man, what happened? Did you see him? I thought he was riding back with you. What happened? No, there's none of that conversation of who's the alternative ride. Nobody's asking that question. That answers it all. Because if there's nobody who's to say that he rode back with us, then he was supposed to go back with you. If nobody's saying, oh, he came to us and he was going to ride back with us. Because if they all got on one boat to get there, that means they got on that boat for one reason, because they don't know that many people, or going to hang out with that many people, other than the fact that, oh, I'm going to jump on, Mr. Surge's boat, or Mr. Smith's boat, or Mrs. Smith's boat, or whatever. So you spread out a little bit. You weren't spread out like this person came on this person's boat, this friend came on that friend's boat, and then that's how you got there. They were all cluttered together. So obviously they came on one boat together because that's the circle they were in. How does a black guy have a bigger circle on an island than these white guys? These 7 to 8 white guys that are there. Doesn't make any sense. And then the fact that when the boats called for the boat being, sinking in the water, that could have been just a diversion of stopping the boat and giving an excuse why the boat stopped in a certain spot, waiting for somebody else to come to the boat for some reason. Because why would they wait and then say, oh, it's okay, everything else, and then they roll back, or go back to the island if you're not that far off, you're 30 feet in the water, so you can't be that far off that little coast to go back. But then say, okay, it's all right, then they continue on. But never saying, I wish I would have not left him. I wish I would have stayed with him. I should have stayed with him. Nobody's saying that. Your best friend, so-called, which to me is like your best black friend, because everybody's saying the best friend. You don't have that many best friends in the world. But the main thing would be, you would feel guilt about having left him. Why didn't I stay with him? We were hanging out. He came with us. I want to know just as much as they do what happened to him. I want to ask the questions, find out who we could have went with, who could have rowed back to the shore with, who we were supposed to go back with. I want to find out what happened to him. What did they say? Nobody's even questioning anybody saying who was he supposed to ride back with. And then going to those people and say, well, such and such said he thinks he's going to ride with you. Who do you think he was going to ride with if he didn't tell you? Which I don't know why he wouldn't tell you who he's going to ride back with if you're going to leave him. You wouldn't ask him, who are you going to ride back with? They say it was okay, and then have an idea. If something can happen, you can go back to them and say, hey, such and such, he said he was riding with you. What happened? Did he ride with you? No, he went with somebody else, or he went this, that, and the other. Put them under the thing. Don't just say he decided to stay with some girl, like the girl, some mermaid. The mermaid is going to take him back to shore or something. It just doesn't make any sense. And the questions are not being asked. Why would they not ask who was he supposed to go back with? And why haven't they stepped forward if that was the case? Why hasn't anybody come forward and say, oh, he was coming back with us, but he disappeared? We looked around for him. We thought he rode with somebody else, so we left. Nobody's saying that. Everybody say, oh, we saw him on the island. Okay, if he was on the island and we seen him at 6 o'clock or whatever, who was he hanging with? He was walking by himself. He had to be with somebody. Nobody's saying, oh, it's 5 o'clock. Oh, we were over here. We were drinking. No, we were talking. I talked to him at such and such. We took a picture at 5:30. Nobody's saying anything. It just left to their words of what they're saying, and then hearsay about what they claim somebody else said they saw. Nobody said, I spoke to him directly at 5 or 6:30 or 5 o'clock or whatever time after they left. Nobody's saying that. But the simple question is, if you told me he was staying, who do you think he was supposed to go back with? If he didn't tell you who he was. Well, give an idea how many people you think he knew that he was going to get a ride back with. Since his father doesn't own a boat, so they didn't grow up with boating. They didn't grow up knowing people with boats. So who is he supposed to know that had these boats? There's so many options. Just his father has no options of who had a boat. How did he have so many options? And if he didn't have so many options, what was the limit of people he knew that would have a boat that would supposedly take him back? And did he approach them? And why haven't they come forward and say he approached them? And then we said, well, we got too many people, or we're not leaving at a certain time. Why? Why hasn't that been answered? That's a simple question.